Try to destroy my people, you gotta pay the price, nigga. You gotta heal, let them heal. Till the devil let the end slaughter, yeah. Now they shook for vicious words out this hanging book. About to take these steppers back to school. My bro standing hook. They crossed the line, ain't no coming back. You became no cows. The only thing sweet is the honey jet. Righteous is the Lord. Give me rest from my sorrow. And hands down death for the devils. There's no tomorrow. Why? Cause they violence leave a man to snip forth. You see the flag in the match. I see horns in the pitchfork. So please believe it. Your white man is a demon. And I ain't gonna go for them to free me. No, that man is still weak. Because the purple is white and snake till they felt like seeing. You got this nigga on his knees. They wanna have peace. You see me let this bitch burn at 1,000 degrees. No land in the bosom of revenge. I told her I'd do anything she please. And I squeeze on the devil knees. What you mean? Talk on the hill. You gon' die for your crime. Fight off in the year. Support for your life. Try to destroy my people. You gotta pay the price, nigga. You gotta heal, let them heal. Till the devils let the end slaughter.
The police just shot him for no apparent reason. No reason at all. They asked for license and registration. That's the police officer who did it with the black on. I can't really do shit with the I can't believe they just did this. I'm fucking.
Yeah, they made it one. All right, Shalom Israel.
Shalom.
All right, we are the I.S.U.P.K out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General Yahanna. All right, we've been teaching the truth according to the Bible since 1969, that the so-called black man, Native Indian man, and the Hispanic man are the 12 lost tribes of the nation of Israel. All right, and what we're going to be touching on today, we're going to be touching on Easter, right, and basically tying in everything, you know, to the Passover and to the Feast on Unleavened Bread. So the so-called black man, Native Indian man, and Hispanic man have been led astray by religious leaders, by doctrines of men, and now we don't understand what the scriptures is saying to us because the Bible is a black man's book. All right, with that, we're going to jump right into the scriptures. Zephaniah chapter 2 and verse 1, Babakasha, right, as Commandant General Yahanna always say, and he brought out, I believe in one of the last tapes that, this coronavirus is putting the so-called black man, Native Indian man, and Hispanic man, all these families on what you call a fast, right? The Lord has given us the opportunity to separate, right, from white supremacy and from Christianity, from the things that is not concerning black people. All right, and the so-called black man now must understand this and try to take advantage, you understand, of what the Most High is sending upon this society, because this what is coming to the society, the so-called black man is not supposed to fall prey to it. All right, because this is to destroy the enemies of blacks, Native Indians, and Hispanics if we walk according to our power. All right, you'll give me the first scripture, Babakasha.
The book of Zephaniah, chapter 2 and verse 1.
Right.
Gather yourselves together.
Right, read that one more time.
Gather yourselves together.
Gather yourselves together. So before we start going to the scriptures, right, we're establishing the spirit of the I.S.U.P.K under commanding General Yahanna, which is the so-called black man, Native Indian man, and the Hispanic man, gathering himself together, right? Gather together, black man. And the scriptures always show us how we ought to gather. All right, read on.
Yea, gather together, O nation not desired.
own nation, the race of people that is not desired. The Most High is saying, gather. And right now, tonight, in the I.S.U.P.K, have classes all over the globe. You understand? We have the Monday night class with General Mahaiman, right? We have history class all over the I.S.U.P.K, right? We have the Black Watch coming up with Commanding General Yahanna, all right? So now we have classes in Trinidad. Tonight is Monday night history class. So now the so-called black man gather together and hear what your people have to say. If you want to understand what the scriptures are saying, the I.S.U.P.K is the place for you to be. The I.S.U.P.K is the place that you ought to be listening to the priests and the prophets in the I.S.U.P.K. If you want to learn and understand what the Bible is saying to the so-called black man, right? Read on.
Verse 2, before the decree bring forth.
Right, before the decree breaks forth, right? That is before the Most High Power gives orders to destroy the society. Give orders that the so-called black man, Native Indian man, and Hispanic man are in, gather together, right? Coming in with your people, so-called black man, Native Indian man, and Hispanic man, because you're seeing everything right now upside down. And when you say gather, coming into the I.S.U.P. gathering, it's going to have rules and principles that we must follow, laws, you understand, of the Most High Power, commandments, statutes. So he's saying gather together. So when that decree breaks forth, you will not be the one, right, receiving that judgment from the Most High Power.
Right.
All right. So from there, you'll play the video for me one time, Baba Kasha. Right? And this is why we're saying to gather into the I.S.U.P.K under Commanding General Yahanna. Right before the decree breaks forth. All right, because it's time for the so-called black man, Native Indian man, and Hispanic man to get a better picture and to understand what is going on. Right, year to year, the I.S.U.P.K keep teaching about Easter, keep teaching about Passover, to show the so-called black man that Easter is not a part of our culture. Right, Easter was not ordered by our King Yahawashi for the so-called black man to celebrate. Right? These things are pushed by the so-called white man, by our oppressors, to keep the so-called black man where he is, going against the Most High Power. All right, let's play this video for me. This video here is a video from locally here in Trinidad, right? And I believe it's one of the Roman Catholic Church, Archbishop Charles Gordon, right? These are the leaders and the men that are responsible for the destruction of black people. You understand? Because they encourage us or lead us astray and cause our God to be against us, cause us to be separated from our power. All right, you can play the video, Baba Kasha.
The resurrection light conquers all darkness. That's what Archbishop of Port of Spain, Charles Jason Bruin, during the Easter Vigil and the Holy Night Mass on Saturday at the Cathedral of the Immaculate Conception. The Archbishop said the tomb that was used for Jesus' body after his death yielded to pure light. Important. Listen.
Right. So now we're going to get into more scriptures. I'm concerning this by showing you. Even listen to the words, you understand? Just as the spirit of the white man, real smooth talk, but they're not going to understand anything that these religious leaders is saying, and nothing that these religious leaders are saying is there to help the so-called black man, Native Indian man, and Hispanic man. It's just a feeling. They're selling you a feeling. The Christianity, we always say, the Christianity is one of the strongest drugs for the so-called black man, Native Indian man, and Hispanic man to escape. All right, because we must understand, right, that in the Christian church, really and truly what they're promising you the same thing that Satan promised Eve in the garden. And you know what that is? You can do what the hell you want. That is what they're really promising you. You understand what I'm saying? Christianity is really positioning the so-called black man not to follow any of the rules of the Most High Power. So somebody come and promise you something, what they're telling you, you could be like gods. You understand? Because anytime you have rules, that means you ain't God. But anytime you have no rules, then you get a promise of being as a God. You can do what you want, how you feel to do it. Right? Officer Michael was teaching, was holding on the class, Officer Galawan yesterday, bring out some excellent videos showing you the continual what we want to call evolution of these fake doctrines and philosophies. the same pagan holidays, and they keep adding flavors and spins to it. You understand? Like it's like just like drugs that are packaging and keep reselling to the so-called black man, Native Indian man, and Hispanic man. All right, Salakia. You check that from Babukasha. All right. Torah. All right, so now we're going to see that the so-called the Christian church Salakia, even during the corona, is still positioning and pushing that spirit on the so-called black man, on the black community, on black homes, on black families. All right, they can go ahead and continue playing the video.
Jason Gordon celebrated the solemn liturgy of the Easter Vigil and the Holy Night on Thursday. He said on this night, many years ago, the underworld that Christ was triumphant.
Death, where is your sting? Death, where is your power? Death has no more power. It has no more sting, except the sting and the power you and I give to it now. Because Jesus Christ is risen from the dead, as he said he would.
Right.
Hallelujah.
Right. And just as we brought out in one of the classes last week, right? Last week Monday, history class. One key thing that you're going to identify with all these churches, right? Religious organizations is just one word, which is hypocrites. You hear what the Christian leader is saying? Yeah, Christ have risen. But when you really look at it, they don't believe that. You understand? The Christian leaders, they do their own thing. They don't believe that Christ was risen. Otherwise, you know what will happen? They will do what Christ said to do. Follow the laws, commandments, and statutes of the scriptures, right? Play on.
Hallelujah.
The Archbishop said by rolling the stone away from the tomb, God reveals that the light of the resurrection had already triumphed over death and darkness.
The opening of the stone allows the whole humanity on this new creation, where the new Adam has now come forth from the tomb, conquering death that the old Adam caused by sin. The new Adam has eaten of the tree of life. Death has no more power, because the tree of life that was guarded in paradise has now been eaten by the new Adam, and he becomes the everlasting Lord and the everlasting God.
The Easter Vigil is a liturgy held in traditional Christian churches as the first official celebration of the resurrection of Jesus. It is held in the hours of darkness between sunset on Holy Saturday and sunrise on Easter Day. An Easter fire is kindled and the Paschal candle is lit.
Pause it there again. So now they're saying that Easter fire is kindled and the Paschal candle is lit, right? Where these religious leaders get these things? Where in the Bible they're going to find the Paschal candle that is lit on sundown? You understand what I'm saying? All blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, you know what I'm supposed to be saying? They're supposed to be calling what we locally call here, they're supposed to call that Obia. Because these things can't be found in the scriptures that the religious leaders is doing here. And inside these congregations, full of all the pedophiles, murderers, drug dealers, and so forth. You understand? Because this is what the Christians breed and raise up and send out in the societies. Men and women that are not governed and subjected by rules. Right? And when we say rules, we're talking about the rules of the Most High Power. Right, Cleon?
The Paschal candle will be used throughout the season of Easter, remaining in the sanctuary of the church and throughout the coming year at baptisms and funerals, reminding all that Christ is light.
Yeah, what's the Paschal candle there? When they do the history of the Paschal candle, they say they're making this Paschal candle with pure beeswax, because the bees is virgins. It's showing you how corrupt these Christian leaders is, these Catholic priests, corrupted. You understand? Coming up with a lot of nonsense and foolishness that is not according to the scriptures. Right? And in saying that, right, we're going to go to the book of Ecclesiasticus chapter 33 and verse 7, Babakosha. Right? Let me see if the Most High Power agrees with these things that are done in the Christian church. Right? Let me see if these things that they say and do, if these things are according to the Most High Power. Right? The book of Ecclesiasticus chapter 33 and verse 7, Babakosha.
the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 33 and verse 7. Why do it one day excel another?
Right. So now the prophet is asking, why one day excels another? Why one day is quote unquote a normal day, and why another day is a celebrated day? Right? Because everybody's celebrating Easter. Let me understand why one day is a normal day and why another day is a day that is celebrated. Right? Read on.
When as all light of every day in the year is of the sun.
Right, read that one more time.
When as all the light of every day in the year is of the sun.
Right, because every day the sun shining. So if every day the sun shining, whenever the clouds make up it, the Most High already send rain, why one day excels another? Right, read on.
Verse 8, by the knowledge of the Lord they were distinguished.
Read it one more time.
By the knowledge of the Lord they were distinguished.
How these days have a different so-called black man, Native Indian man, and Hispanic man? How you know the days to celebrate and the days not to celebrate? Read it one more time again.
By the knowledge of the Lord.
By the knowledge of the Most High power. Your power, your God is going to tell you what days to be celebrated and which day is not to be celebrated. Which days to be celebrated as the Passover, which days to be celebrated as the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which day is Hanukkah, you understand? Which day is the Day of Atonement. This is what the so-called black man must understand, right? We are governed by rules. We are governed by the things that was laid down by our forefathers. We don't opt like the Christian church, like these Christian leaders, right, and follow pagan holidays that when you look in the history behind it, it has no merit, no grounds, and no root, and has nothing to do with building so-called blacks, Native Indians, and Hispanics. Right? Read on.
And he altered the seasons and the feasts.
And he did what?
And he altered the seasons and the feasts.
Right? And the Most High power, he altered the seasons and he altered the feasts. He dictates which days is which feast day and which days are not feast days. When each feast day is supposed to be celebrated. The Most High power. And where the so-called black man is going to find that? In your records.
Right.
Right? In the scriptures. Right? In this book that was written for the so-called black man, Native Indian man, and man. In the black man's constitution. How he is supposed to run this world and this society. How he is supposed to govern himself. There's where the so-called black man is going to find that. Right? Read on.
Verse 9. Some of them.
Yes, sir. That was the end of verse 8. All right. Right. Drop that and give me the book of Exodus chapter 20 and verse 3. Right? Because the so-called black man have been consistently sold, right, one of the most powerful drugs on the planet, which is Christianity. Where you believe that you have power to be the Most High, to do what you want when you feel you could do it. And this is because of the religious leaders, you understand, working arm in arm with the oppressor, working arm in arm with the so-called white man. But from the beginning of the time, so-called black man, they're going to see that we always had laws, commandments, and statutes. We always had boundaries that was set around the so-called black man to protect him. You understand? From the snares of our enemies, which is the other races. You understand? Which is the so-called white man. Right? Because boundaries, rules, Salakia was set to protect the so-called black man. All right? Given a scripture, Baba Kasha.
The book of Exodus, chapter 20 and verse 3. Thou shalt have no other God.
Read that again.
The book of Exodus, chapter 20 and verse 3.
Right.
Thou shalt have no other gods before me.
We shall have what?
No other gods before me.
So the so-called black man, this is one of the laws. Perhaps a lot of us heard these laws before, right? This law in particular. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. So then the so-called black man, understanding through the I.S.U.P.K under commanding General Yahanna, that this Bible is a black man's book, that this Bible are the rules and the laws to govern the so-called black man, to bring him out of captivity from under the other nations that are oppressing us. One of the laws we see, we shall have no other gods. You understand? And seeing that the so-called black man understands that we shall have no other gods, then it becomes easy. It becomes more simplified because now we have a path to walk on. Now we understand this pertains to me. Let me not envy the oppressor, as the scripture says, let's paraphrase, and choose none of his ways. So the oppressor celebrating Christmas and Easter and Ash Wednesday, Palm Sunday, these things the so-called black man will not find his forefathers celebrating these things. There were no instructions given to the so-called black man, Native Indian man, and Hispanic man, right, to celebrate Easter, right? In saying that, you give me the definition of Easter in the Compact Bible Dictionary, Babakosha, right? Because a lot of people may see the word Easter in the scriptures and don't understand that this word Easter is referring to Passover, right? This is what we must understand. Go ahead and read.
Easter, from the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary.
Right.
Rendered Easter in Acts, but correctly translated as Passover.
Correctly translated as what?
As Passover.
Correctly translated as Passover. So you so-called black man, what we know? The word Easter in the Bible, and we don't understand what is taking place in the scriptures. So we hear about Easter and we start celebrating bunnies laying eggs. You understand? That makes absolutely no sense, right? And following these pagan customs continually help us to even fuel the financial and raise the economic power, right, of the heathens, of the other nations. And these things is what the Most High want us separated from, because he never commanded us to celebrate Easter, bunnies and eggs. You understand? We were commanded to celebrate Passover. There's no way in the scriptures the so-called black man is going to see where Christ said to us to celebrate Easter, right? Give me the book Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 7, Babakosha. Right, as I just bring it up, right? 10 and 7.
The book of Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 7. Then said I, lo, I come in the volume of the book.
Right, and this is speaking about Christ, right? Christ is saying, lo, I come in the volume of the book. In all the scriptures that you're going to see in the Bible speaks about Christ. And there's no orders given to the so-called black man, Native Indian man, and Hispanic man to celebrate Easter. Right? We must understand that. Was the end of 7?
Last.
Read on.
It is written of me.
It is what?
It is written of me.
It is written of me. So we must understand, if your Christian leaders so love Christ, right, who is in the Hebrew Yahawashai, they're going to do what? What he said. Because he said, these things are written of me. They're going to do what he said to do. Because he is written in the volume of the book. And when we say he, we're talking about Christ. All right? That was it?
That's it.
Read on.
It is written of me to do thy will, O God.
To do what?
To do thy will, O God.
Right. So we understand that Christ came to do the will of the Most High power. So now we're going even further. The Most High never gave instructions that we celebrate Easter, so-called black man, Native Indian man, and Hispanic man. And it's only in the I.S.U.P.K under commanding GEN.YAHANNA that we're going to realize and we're going to be able to figure out by the priests and the prophets. But wait now, you know, really and truly, I not seen here where we celebrated Easter with bunnies and eggs. You understand? You have big men in bunny suit, and you have your children saying on strangers' lap, pedophiles and monsters. You understand? From the Christian church. We must wake up and understand these things is not of the Most High. These murderers and child molesters dressing up in costumes and taking your child and had them on the lap. I wonder what the majority of videos on YouTube, all them trying on them like by instinct. They're running and crying from them. You understand what I'm saying? And the parents now breaking them now into a culture are doing something that is not according to the Most High. that is not according to the culture of the so-called black man. Because some of the basic things the I.S.U.P.K always bringing out, we must come to understand that the real Jews, right, according to the scriptures, the so-called black man, Native Indian man, and the Hispanic man, we were kidnapped. We run from Jerusalem into West Africa and was kidnapped. We are not Africans. We were the people that were kidnapped from West Africa and brought across here. You understand? And doctrines and cultures and philosophies were forced on the so-called black man. You understand? Some of us decided to take debt, just like the men in the I.S.U.P.K. We decided to go against the grain, to go against this society, to go against this world. But the thing that they teach, that is not according to the Most High power. And some of the so-called blacks yield to the white man. And now they are Christian leaders. Creflo Dollar, T.D. Jakes, Charles Gordon. You understand what I'm saying? Right? We yield to the power of the so-called white man for filthy lucre, not allow us to place our power. And the so-called black man must understand these last days, the Most High has given us one of the greatest opportunity, because now you can see, without a doubt, there's a refuge and a place for the so-called black man, a place where there is order and structure. You understand? A place, a refuge. You understand? Continually over the internet, you can see all the amazing work that Commanding General YAHANNA have done. You understand? Raise men up. You understand? And clean them up from the prisons and from drugs. You understand? And from whatever lifestyle you are in, the women, the children. Now you're seeing, as it's a statement he make long time. Now you're seeing a black man in the black house. You understand? Now you're seeing the culture of the Israelites springing forth. You keep seeing less and less black women bickering with black men over some other woman. You understand? Because they understand, hey, this is our culture and there's a way that this should be done. And I must let go the things that the oppressor pushed on me and have me going against even my own household. It's time for the so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man to wake up. Right? What was the last scripture I read from Baba Kusha?
Hebrews 10 and 7.
Hebrews chapter 10. All right, give us Psalms 40 and verse 7. I think they're talking about the same thing. Let us read that and see Baba Kusha. Psalms chapter 40 and verse 7. All right, you can go ahead and read it. Here.
The book of Psalms, chapter 40 and verse 7. Then said I, Lo, I come in the volume of the book.
Right, and this is the same spirit. Lo, look, I come in the volume of the book. Right? The Passover is for the so-called black man. It's a holiday. A holiday for the so-called black man, Native Indian man, and Hispanic man, not Easter. We celebrate when the Most High destroyed the Africans. You understand? Root them out of Egypt to deliver his people. This is what the so-called black man must understand. This Bible ain't what everybody grabbing up and running around with and feel, well, this concerning them. Because when I look at Easter, just as the officer was bringing out yesterday, a lot of different races trying to celebrate things, quote unquote, where they think come from the Bible. But the Bible is concerning the so-called black man, Native Indian man, Hispanic man. Now, they can celebrate the Easter, but the so-called black man must understand that celebration is not for you. Passover is your celebration, so-called black man, Native Indian man, Hispanic man. You understand? Though it might have evil and deceitful people now trying to shut down the Lord's Passover. The only thing that the so-called black man have to keep him, you understand, connected to the Most High, the only thing that he has as part of his culture, the Passover, one of the high holidays, right? You're seeing men working, you understand, with the oppressor to shut that down. We already in nothing. Black people right now, all during the corona, what they call it down here, Zesa party, trying to run in every little activity they have. You understand? To get something to keep the mind and the spirit occupied, probably for them not to lose insanity under the coronavirus lockdown with her right now. You understand what I'm saying? And they're trying to shut down the Passover. And your Christian pastor, on the other hand, pushing Easter. You understand? And when you go out dance, they're trying to charge you and put you in prison. You understand what I'm saying? Them should feel shame to try to charge the so-called black man right now for going anywhere as a matter of fact, because you take everything from them. You take the culture, you take the history, you take the customs, you take the holidays. You understand? So they should be the last that the oppressor should look for. Look for all the other heathens that are doing all the madness on the outside there and gather them up. You understand? Right? Read on.
I come in the volume of the book.
Right.
It is written of me.
It is what?
Written of me.
It is written of Christ. You understand? I remember talking a long time about some Jehovah's Witnesses saying, you know, we had to follow Christ's footsteps closely, you know, with a sweet talk. You believe that is the case, right? He said, this book is written of me. If that is the case, and the Jehovah's Witness church and all the other Christian churches wasn't hypocrites, they'll go follow closely what Christ did. Christ didn't celebrate Easter. Christ celebrated Passover. Christ never tell Christians to celebrate the resurrection of Christ. He didn't tell you to celebrate Palm Sunday. We want to do our own thing. You understand what I'm saying? That is why we love Christianity. And that is why Christianity is the #1 drug on the planet. Because this drug enables the so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man to do what he wants. It enables him and puts him in a place to feel as though he is God. It puts him in a place and a position to be where he have no rules to follow. I can murder today, go to church tomorrow. Say, Lord, forgive me and murder again. And I can be a hypocrite all the days of my life. You understand? I can sell drugs to my people, destroy my community, and go to church on Holy Year's night. You understand? Rub ashes on my forehead Ash Wednesday. But the Most I have not created the so-called black man to be hypocrites, but for us to hold firm and fast to the laws of the Most High power and escape the hands of Christianity and white supremacy. All right? But these things were set up to destroy the so-called black man, Native Indian man, and the Hispanic man. Right? From there, jump and give me the book of Leviticus chapter 1 and verse 6, Babakasha.
The book of Leviticus chapter 1 and verse 6.
Right.
And he shall flay the burnt offering and cut it into pieces.
No, Salakia. Give me Leviticus 23 and verse 1. Salakia. Yeah.
The book of Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 1.
Right.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel.
Speak unto who?
The children of Israel.
Right. So we're only talking about black people tonight. We're only talking about blacks, Native Indians, and Hispanics. We ain't talking to nobody else. And this is who Moses talked to. Moses didn't talk to nobody else. He talking to blacks, Native Indians, and Hispanics. He talking to the leaders in Israel that they established this law among the nation. Right? Read on.
And say unto them, concerning the feast of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocation.
Right.
Even these are my feasts.
Right. So he's talking about the Lord's holy convocations and his feasts. Just as we read before, why is one day esteemed above another? Because the Most High, he who said that. You understand what I'm saying? I don't think we did read out all of it, but nevertheless, I'll go back on it here. One day is esteemed above another by the Most High power, not by man. So now the Most High is showing you what days he want the so-called black man, Native Indian man, and the Hispanic man to celebrate. All right? And we can start with that in the book of Leviticus, chapter 23 and verse 1. Right? Read on.
Verse 3. 6 days shall work be done.
Right? So he's saying, the Most High is saying 6 days shall work be done. Read on.
But the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest.
Right. Read on.
And holy convocation.
A holy what?
Convocation.
Right. A holy gathering. So the Most High is making the so-called black man to understand, hey, this is your time of celebration. This is your time of gathering so-called black man, Native Indian man, and Hispanic man. He set up the times and he set up the seasons. You understand? Not Easter. We ain't reading about that in the scriptures. That is not concerning the so-called black man, Native Indian man, and Hispanic man. All these pagan holidays are spring from since the Roman Empire. This is not concerning black people. This is not concerning the real Jews. This is not concerning the descendants of Solomon and Abraham and Moses. The lineage of Christ. Read on.
Ye shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings.
Right.
Verse 4. These are the feasts of the Lord,
Right.
even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their season.
Right. So these are the feasts of the Lord's, which shall be proclaimed. This is going to be known across the nation in their season. Now, every time I watch the class in the I.S.U.P.K under Commanding General YAHANNA, what you're seeing, we have the security announcements and we bring out the high holy convocation that is approaching. So the nation is going to know. This is thus saith the Lord. This is what the Lord wants you to celebrate next so-called black man, native Indian man, and Hispanic man. And build this back up until this turn we culture. Not Easter slipping in and Christmas slipping in and Palm Sunday slipping in. You understand? And Ash Wednesday slipping in. It's time for the so-called black man to be bold enough to reclaim his culture and identity. You understand? In the face of this fallen empire. Right? Read on.
Verse 5. In the 14th day of the first month, at even, is the Lord's Passover.
Right? So the Most High make you understand the 14th day. Right? At the first month, we are the Passover. Easy to understand. No other Heathenic nation or race ain't supposed to be coming and telling the men that's supposed to be running the planet, today's Easter. Your power, your leaders is supposed to establish that to you so-called black man, native Indian man, and Hispanic man. And running out and buying all the Easter egg. You understand what I'm saying? And all the chocolate. Which part in the scriptures Christ tell you he love chocolate? You understand? And buy that for me on Easter. And dress it up and paint it. That childish rubbish. You understand what I'm saying? To further destroy a nation and strengthen the pockets of the heathen. That looking to squeeze the neck. You understand? As soon as they get opportunity. Right? Read on.
Verse 6. And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread.
Right? And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread. Everybody so-called black man, Hispanic man, and native Indian man must understand. It's not that difficult. It's just we coming to the place to accept the fact, right, that our Christian leaders do not know anything about the Bible. Because the priests and the prophets in the I.S.U.P.K have already showed the so-called black man, we have been brought here under captivity. We have brought out the book of Deuteronomy 28 numerous times, showing the curses, you understand, proving the blacks, native Indians, and Hispanics are the real Jews according to the Bible. So now we understand now, right, through the scriptures that, hey, this Bible is talking to me. This Bible has my custom and my culture. We try everything else, so-called black man, native Indian man, and Hispanic man. We try everything else, and we still getting the next squeeze. We still in the bottom of society. We still going to the other nations for the want of all things. You understand? The Catholic Church, right? The Christian leaders still molesting me children, still ripping me off. You understand? The rip off with grandmother. You understand? We mother, we great grandmother. Right? There are article today I'm looking for it and I can find it, but there are article today where they're talking about in the article basically set up like the hardest hit, you understand, in the coronavirus was women. You understand? Just as Jeremiah brought it in our class a while back, because the Christian leaders understand this game. They know the woman is who holding the money. You understand what I'm saying? They have a lot of financial power. So the Christian leaders ensuring that the Christian church is full with women. You understand? And giving them all the emotional energy that they need. You understand? To keep going in them places. They ain't too interested in getting men. You understand? Unless probably you're some billionaire. And if they ain't get you and they can get your wife, then no. You understand? They will manipulate to make she squeeze out all she money. You understand? To fatten the Christian church and do nothing for the black community, because we can see that worldwide. We have long history with that. From since with the Katrina flooding, Joel Osteen 30 million see church lock up, people drunk by the drunk like rain. Down here, we had a man at $30 million in his church, and he did nothing for the black community around him. And the so-called black man keep falling into these traps because men set themselves up as leaders and do nothing to deliver blacks, native Indians, and Hispanics. Because by doing that, you're automatically not going to become an enemy of the oppressor. And a lot of us is afraid of that. If that is the case, as the I.S.U.P.K always say, stand back and release these people, as the scriptures say. You don't want to go in to inherit the kingdom. You don't suffer them from not being able to enter. You understand? Because these religious leaders cause our people to error, cause them to stumble. By the time they find the truth, that they're in pieces. That's why, as scripture rightfully say, you have to tell Ezekiel, can these bones live? Because a lot of time, by the time commanding general, you're not finding you're on your last breath. You know yourself. You understand what I'm saying? Your coconut slack. It's time for the so-called black man, native Indian man, and Hispanic man to understand holidays don't just pop up by breeze. You understand? The Most High said these days. Give me the scripture in Ecclesiasticus again, Mavakasha. Ecclesiasticus 33 and 7. Holidays don't just pop up because we feel to keep a holiday. You understand? Not for the so-called black man. We have holidays, and the Most High, He determines which holiday we ought to celebrate and honor Him in next. Read the scripture again from the top, Ecclesiasticus 33 and verse 7, Babakasha.
The book of Ecclesiastes, Ecclesiasticus, right. Chapter 33 and verse 7. Why doeth one day excel another?
Right. Why one day excel another? Read on.
When, as all the light of every day is in the year of Salakia. When, as all the light of every day in the year is of the sun.
Right. Because every day the sun shining. Why one day excel another? Read on.
Verse 8. By the knowledge of the Lord, they were distinguished.
By the knowledge of the Most High power, it have a distinguishing. So we're not coming and telling you about the Passover, so-called black man, native Indian man, and Hispanic man. We're not coming and tell you about the Passover because, hey, hear what? We feel to celebrate the Passover because we're telling you this is the knowledge of the Most High power. We're making you to understand that Easter is not of the Most High by the knowledge of the Lord, by the things written in the scriptures, by the things that Christ our King established. Read on.
And He altered seasons and feasts.
He did what?
Altered seasons and feasts.
Right, and the Most High, He's the one altering seasons and feasts. Read on.
Verse 9. Some of them hath He made high days.
Right.
And hallowed them.
Right, so some He made holy days, special days. Like when He drunk them Africans. You understand what I'm saying? Many I.S.U.P.K love to talk about that. The Passover that Christ also celebrated. Christ celebrated the drowning of Africans, the destructions of Africans to save the children of Israel. So all these things the so-called black man like to see on the internet and believe we something to do with Wakanda. The children of the slave trade has nothing to do with the Africans like Nelson Mandela and General Butt Naked and the long list. You understand? Christ even called them dogs in the New Testament. All these things the I.S.U.P.K can bring out and show the so-called black man. All right, that was verse 9 on. Right, give me the book of Luke chapter 22 and verse 1, Babakasha. All right, go ahead and finish. I'll finish it. So what?
And some of them hath He made ordinary days.
Right, and some of them He made what?
Ordinary days.
And some of them He made ordinary days. So don't make this the so-called white man bamboozle this black man, the men that ought to be the rulers of the planet, the men that must put themselves and should put themselves in a position to be sealed with the knowledge of the Most High power. The men that must line themselves up to war, you understand, and fight to help this 144,000 men be sealed with the knowledge of our God, you understand, and our power to rule the planet again. Not birthdays and Christmas and Easter and Ash Wednesday. The Most High determines which day is which day. Some is ordinary days and some is hallowed days. Days that was separated, you understand, for the so-called black man, native Indian man, and Hispanic man. All right? Give me the book of Luke chapter 22 and verse 1. Babakasha.
The book of Luke, chapter 22, and verse 1.
Right.
Now the feast of unleavened bread drew nigh.
Right? So now this is the New Testament. So you're talking about the feast of unleavened bread drew nigh. Read on.
Which is called the Passover.
Which is called what?
The Passover.
Which is called the Passover. All the names of our feast days are in the scriptures. Read that one more time again, Baba Kasha.
The book of Luke, chapter 22 and verse 1. Now the feast of unleavened bread drew nigh, which is called the Passover.
Which is called the Passover. So the first day of the feast of unleavened bread is called the Passover. When the Mosai drunk the Egyptians. You understand? When we was eating and moving. Quick is the word. Why the Mosai was destroying the Africans for the so-called black man, native Indian man, and Hispanic man. Just as he doing today. If the so-called black man could really understand the knowledge of this truth and get into the I.S.U.P.K under Commandant General Yahanna, the same way the nation tribe and the heathens were destroyed, the same thing will happen again. This is just something that's plain, cut and dry. Showing you, this is what I got to do. For you, so-called black man, native Indian man, and Hispanic man, the apple of my eye. You understand? The same way the Africans had destroyed the firstborn of the Mosai, as I believe is Exodus chapter 3, say that Israel is the firstborn of the Mosai, and Israel destroyed the Mosai firstborn. The Mosai turned back, and you know what he do? He show his power and destroy the firstborn of the Africans. You understand? And make them know the place. This is what the Mosai is doing and is going to do for the so-called black man, native Indian man, and Hispanic man. Our job is just to warn you. Being brothers, we warn you and make you to understand black man and Hispanic man. Hey, we have to give ourselves an idea. We have to understand this knowledge. We have to bring our families in this protection and stop running around willy-nilly wondering what we go eat and what we go drink. Get into the I.S.U.P.K under Commanding General Yahanna. It ain't nobody here hungry. It ain't nobody in the I.S.U.P.K under Commanding General Yahanna naked. It ain't nobody under the I.S.U.P.K under Commanding General Yahanna get pulled to the house and sleeping on the side of the road by some dustbin because they can't pay the rent. Gather together with your people, so-called black man, native Indian man, and Hispanic man, and understand how to work and build and live with your nation.
Right.
Right? Coming to the I.S.U.P.K for the first time and experience brotherhood, experience order, experience structure. See what the kingdom of God is all about. So we will come out of these fairy tales and stories that we learn in the Christian church and from over social media. As scripture rightfully says, the so-called white man is the prince and the power of the air. You understand? Sending misinformation to a trend from early. Everything white. Everything gay and weak. All right? Read on.
Verse 2. And the chief priests and the scribes sought how they might kill him, for they feared the people.
So now, this same time, right, with the feast on unleavened bread and the Passover, they was planning to kill our King Yahushai. The same ones that the Christian leaders professing at the law, which they hate Christ God's to the last. Because as he say, they worship me with the lips. Oh, I love Jesus. But the heart, the mind, far from the Most High, far from Christ. They ain't doing nothing Christ say to do. Christ saying A, they go in another direction, they go in B. You understand? That's why Christ rightfully had to say, they that don't want to listen to me, bring them here and slay them. And they say no. All right, read on.
Verse 3. Then entered Satan into Judas, surnamed Iscariot, being of the number of the 12.
Right. So now this is the way Christ was betrayed. Right. So hold that for now and jump from Salakia to the book of Colossians, chapter 2 and verse 8. Baba Kasha. All right. Because the so-called black man, native Indian man, Hispanic man, not understanding who he is, not understanding, as I hear brother say, it's come like we just customers of America, customers of Babylon. We just working and buying. You understand what I say? When I want to talk about a robot, that is the way the so-called white man position the so-called black man. We just work and buy. You understand? Why they live to the top? Why is they live in heaven? You understand what I'm saying? Why is they having a lofty jobs and jet ski and private jets? You're catching what going on? Planning to go up on the moon, planning to go Mars, dropping bombs on countries at will. You just working and buying. Working and buying. In your own country where you live in, you can't take a holiday. And white people are the heathen, the flooded. They're always up in the biggest hotels. And you doing what? Working in the hotel, get paid, and come back and just buy to survive. You in hell. You in this low place, so-called black man, native Indian man, Hispanic man. Not understanding all you have to do is come back and do the things that your forefathers already left. They say, this is the past, the present, and the future. When we want to talk about crystal ball, the only people that have a crystal ball on the planet is that the so-called black man, that the scriptures. We can tell you what happened in the past accurately, in the present, and in the future, what's going to come. You understand? And we understanding the I.S.U.P.K. that we're trying to position the so-called black man to escape World War III, which is coming. All right? Read the scripture from the top again, Baba Kasha. Yeah, Torah.
The book
2:18
of Colossians, chapter 2 and verse 8.
Right.
Beware, lest any man spoil you.
Right, hold on. So now our forefathers lay down in book of Colossians, talking to the so-called black man. He's saying, hey, beware, take heed, pay attention. Right, read on.
Lest any man spoil you.
Lest any man spoil you. Right? These are prophets of the Most High Power. Understanding that the nation of Israel is scattered, just as James writes in the scriptures, to the 12 tribes that are scattered abroad, greeting. We scattered everywhere. And now it is being said to the so-called black man, native Indian man, and Hispanic man, beware, lest any man should spoil you through what?
Through philosophy.
Through what?
Philosophy.
Through philosophy. True philosophy. Give me a definition of philosophy, Baba Kasha, before you read on. So, right? That's give me the meaning of philosophy. Lest any man should spoil you through philosophy, which means you can get deceived by philosophy, by somebody giving you philosophy. Give me the definition of philosophy, Baba Kasha. All right, you have it? All right. Yeah, no sweat. No sweat. Right. If you see one or two definitions, you'll get like about two.
Yeah. Philosophy from the Merriam-Webster Bible Dictionary.
Right. 1.
All learning exclusive of technical precepts and practical arts.
Right. Read on. By what?
All learning exclusive of technical precepts and practical arts.
Right. Technical precepts and practical arts. Right. Give me the next one. Oh, that was it?
No, that was a couple. 2. The science and liberal arts exclusive. Well, this one dealing with medicine.
Right. Let's jump down to one that kind of in context.
All
right. And that would just be good.
It's a discipline of compromising as its core logic.
Right, comprising a discipline comprising as its core logic. Right? Aesthetics, ethics, metaphysics, and eschatology, pursuit of wisdom. Right? So any one of the definitions they could use here. Right? Lest any man spoil you by vain by what? Salakia. Lest any man spoil you by philosophy. Right? So they're giving you some sort of wisdom. Right? Right? Go ahead.
4A. 4A saying the most basic belief, concepts, and attitudes of an individual or group.
Right. So now we're telling you, beware. Lest a man spoil you by philosophy. Right? By a system of psychological concepts, right? By basic beliefs, concepts, attitudes, and so forth, by the pursuit of wisdom, right? Why it is easy to so-called black man? Beware, lest any man spoil. You know why? It's simple as this. He's telling you, don't step away from this. This is all your forefathers saying to you. That's all the priests and the prophets saying to the so-called black man. Don't make anybody tell you something different from what we leave for you, so-called black man. Don't make nobody come and tell you about Egyptology and Islam,
right,
and Christianity. You understand? Don't make nobody come and teach you that, so-called black man, some other philosophy, something else that we never leave or lay down for you, so-called black man. Don't make nobody come and tell you what Easter. This is what the so-called black man must understand. Read on the scripture again, Babakasha.
Lest any man spoil you through philosophy,
right,
and vain deceit.
And what?
Vain deceit.
And vain deceit. You understand? Vain deceit by smooth words. You catching me? Things that have no benefit, things that is not concerning the so-called black man, Native Indian man, and the Hispanic man. Take heed. Talking to his people, talking to the saints. Don't make nobody make you deviate from the teachings of the priests and the prophets in the I.S.U.P.K under commanding GEN.YAHANNA. Right? Read on.
After the tradition of men.
After the what?
Tradition of men.
After the traditions of men. Because what you're going to find, the things that the so-called black man, Native Indian man, and Hispanic man following, they're not in the scriptures. So here, you know, these things is the traditions of men. Your forefathers never laid on Christmas and Easter, you understand, for you so-called black man. So don't make nobody bamboozle you and introduce something new to you. Something that you never see your forefathers partake in. Things you never see Christ partake in. Orders that was not given by Christ. Your Christian leaders have you dabbling in these things. As we just read in the book of Exodus chapter 20 and verse 3. The Most High Power saying, you shall have no other gods besides me. We see in the records of our forefathers the destruction that the Most High brought, right, by serving other gods, by doing things contrary to what he laid on for us. You understand? As a hedge and as a protection. It's time for the so-called black man, Native Indian man, and the Hispanic man to understand this. Right? Give me the book of Acts, then of Babakasha. Give me chapter 12 and verse 4.
The book of Acts, chapter 12 and verse 4.
Right.
And when he had apprehended him, he put him in prison.
This was Peter talking about it. Right? They apprehend Peter and put him in prison. Read on.
And delivered him to 4 quaternions.
Right? So yeah, so there's some soldiers, the game, a group of soldiers that got them. So it's showing that the priests and the prophets, right, in the scriptures, ain't no punk. They put one police, the right police are talking about to watch Peter. They put a group, you understand? To watch that prophet. Read on.
Delivered him to 4 quaternions of soldiers to keep him, intending after Easter,
right,
to bring him forth to,
right, and this is the same Easter again, coming up again, intending after Easter to do what?
To bring him forth to the people.
To bring him forth to the people. So here in this word Easter, so-called black man, Native Indian man, and Hispanic man in the scriptures, you're not going to see anything about bunnies laying eggs. You understand? You're going to see in the scriptures, as we read in the Compact Bible Dictionary, the Zondervan, that that's supposed to translate to Passover, which is a holiday of the so-called black man celebrating the destruction of the African nation, of the Egyptians.
Right.
Not of bunnies laying eggs. Don't make the so-called white man and society press you so much, as men and as women, to make your children follow after these traditions and set them against the Most High, set them against and opposite to the things that our forefathers laid down for us to follow. All right? We don't need scripture about Bakasha, what verse you reach?
Verse 4.
That was the end of verse 4? All right. Right? So with that, give me the book at 1 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 9, right? Because the scriptures rightfully saying, give me Isaiah 42 and 22, Baba Kasha. Give me 42 and 22 first.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 42.
Yeah, 42 and 22.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 42 and verse 22.
Right.
But this is a people robbed and spoiled.
Right, and this is why the so-called black man is continually being taken advantage of. All the other races know that this is a people, the so-called black man is a nation of people, Hispanics, Native Indians, robbed and spoiled by the so-called white man, by the Africans, by the Arabs. We were robbed and spoiled by them. You understand what I'm saying? We have no economic might. We have no military structure. We have no industries. You understand? And they knowing that there's a race of people that has no backing, we rob and we spoil. They're abusing us in every which way. You understand what I'm saying? And they understand also how the so-called black man is going to obtain power by operating and by walking in a certain way, by having a certain moral standard. You understand? So they will do anything to make the so-called black man go contrary to this roadmap that our forefathers leave for us to inherit that power once again. You understand? Because that is the position that the so-called black man is in right now. To rule the planet once again. Right? Hold on for man, give me the script here in the Apocrypha talking about 6 and 54. Where we created the world for our sakes. But not the hidden. I don't have the Apocrypha on the table. There's no SHALAM.
The book of
6 and 54.
The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 6 and verse 54. And after these, Adam also, who thou madest Lord of all thy creatures.
Right? I love to read the scripture. Because everybody, you know, the world have God love everybody. But the I.S.U.P.K will keep bringing out that it ain't no God love everybody. The so-called black man is a holy people, a special people unto the Most High power. That is song so beautiful. You understand? So mighty in the ears of our priests. You understand? That's also so beautiful in the ears of our sisters. Because where you going to be hearing a statement like this? That the Most High has chosen the so-called black man as a special people unto himself. Everybody loves to talk negative about the so-called black man. With cockroaches and pests. You understand? And good for nothings. And the list goes on. Troublemakers. But the Most High say, nah. To me, this is a special people. This is why I created them to be. What we pick up is the behaviors of the heathen. The behaviors of the beasts of the field. You understand? We pick up white supremacy and Christianity. And we must shed ourselves for that. And to do that, we must come into the I.S.U.P.K under commanding GEN.YAHANNA. Right? Read on.
And after these, Adam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures.
Right.
Of him come we all.
Right. So all of us came from Adam. But read on.
And the people also whom thou hast chosen.
So everybody come from Adam, but it's specifying here now. But the people also who thou have chosen. So he's showing you a difference. It plenty people come from Adam. After the Most High drunk everything, he spring back the races through Noah. But now he said, but the people also who thou have chosen. There's a chosen people. We are equal. You understand? And the Jews that always seen in Jerusalem, the fake Jews, the Jewish men, they are not the real Jews. The scripture said the Jews are black. The people that celebrated the Passover according to the Lord is blacks, Native Indians, and Hispanics. Not these Jews who haven't taken white fowl and swinging it over their head. Read on.
Verse 55. All this I have spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sake.
Read that one more time.
All this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou hast made the world for our sake.
For the Most High, he made the world for the so-called black man, native Indian man, and Hispanic man. And this is what we are to fight for, so-called black man. To rule this planet once again. That is what the battle is for. You understand? We're fighting to gain the kingdom of heaven. That is why we always establish that in the I.S.U.P.K. Not just to rule. The white man ruling right now. He ruling like a monster, like a brute beast, like a tyrant. But he do have the spirit of the Most High with him. He have no laws, no principles, no moral standard. You understand? The so-called white man is a monster, and the heathens following hand in hand with him. You understand? He's a tyrant of them too. But because of power, you understand? I'm saying that to yield. But the so-called black man is to pick up the mantle and walk according to what our forefathers left for us, which is to follow the laws, commandments, and statutes. These principles is going to make us be able to activate our power, activate our army, activate our king, to return to the earth and destroy the oppressor. This is what this is all about. So-called black man, native Indian man, and Hispanic man, just as we're going to celebrate the Passover. When World War III hit, ain't going to be the first time the Most High destroy the oppressors. You understand? In past times and in other scriptures, you're going to see where the Most High sent many saviors to destroy the heathen for his people, for the so-called blacks, native Indians, and Hispanics. So if anybody ain't too sure, go in the scriptures. You can see where he destroyed the Philistines, he destroyed the Egyptians, he destroyed the East Indians. You understand? And deliver the so-called black man, and he's going to do it again. Right? Read on, Baba Kasha.
Verse 56. And as for the other people, which also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing.
Right? The other people that come from Adam, besides the so-called blacks, native Indians, and Hispanics, God said, the Most High said, they are nothing. Read on.
But be like unto spittle.
But it's like spit, like spittle. Somebody spit and the spit flare up in the air. That is thus saith the Lord. Read on.
And as likened the abundance of them.
And all of them put together. Read on.
Unto a drop that falleth from a vessel.
It's like a drop that falls from a vessel. It's like a little drop of water fall out of a bucket. That is how important the so-called black man, native Indian man, and Hispanic man is to the Most High power. Whether so-called black man hear the scriptures, you should start, really draw back and check yourself and realize, nah, I never heard this from my Christian pastor before. This is as much as my power love me, while the whole world hate me, while the whole world have so much of negative things to say and portray the so-called black man to look like. The God in heaven, you understand? He's saying something different about you, so-called black man, native Indian man, and Hispanic man. Right? That was the Enite?
That's the end of verse 56.
Read for 57. Let me hear Baba Kasha.
The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 6 and verse 57. And now, O Lord, these heathen,
right,
which have ever been reputed as nothing.
Right? So now Ezra's crying out, but Lord, watch these heathen who has ever been reputed as nothing. They never had a reputation of being somebody. We were always the chosen ones. They were never the chosen ones. What a reputation the East Indians and the Chinese and the so-called white man and the Syrians and so forth, what a reputation they ever had are ruling the planet. And the Most High choosing them to run the planet. When? Which history? You can find that in which history book? On which writing on which wall? What part are the tombs or the pyramids that the Most High ever choose the Africans to run the planet? They have ever been reputed as nothing. All these heathens. But read on.
Have begun to be lords over us and to devour us.
But what happened?
Have begun to be lords over us and to devour us.
But they have begun to be lords over the so-called black man. And not only rule over we, but devour we. Take we culture, take we history, take away we high holidays. So now we're celebrating Easter and Palm Sunday. You understand? And Ash Wednesday and Christmas. Because not only the ruling over us, the devour we. Strip we of we identity and we culture. Tell you is African. Higher up in the cinema balling Wakanda forever. You understand? Because them black, we position ourselves and believe we black. So probably that we family. No African ever look for or check for the so-called slaves of the transatlantic slave trade, because they know you and them is not the same family. Right. Just as the Chinese, you understand, and the Japanese. They understand that there is a difference. And this is what the so-called black man understand. Not everything black means that there is a family so-called black man. We is from a specific bloodline. We are the real Jews according to the Bible. The bloodline of our King Yahushua, Christ. As scripture says, not all that is of Abraham is of Abraham. We have a specific bloodline. Abraham to Isaac and to Jacob. And every time the so-called black man try to position himself or say things that is of authority and of power, and that puts us in a high seat, the world hates it. That is why there's come against the I.S.U.P.K. Call them a hate group. You understand what they're really saying is that the group we hate. They hate this group. And many in the I.S.U.P.K. under commanding General YAHANNA. Because if we try to do the things that the other groups that they call us hate groups, if we try to do that, they'll find some way to clamp down on the I.S.U.P.K. But you know what I mean? Brakataya or why I was shy for commanding General YAHANNA and General Zidane for the wisdom, following everything to T, according to the scriptures. You understand? Be able to cross over every storm, every battle, every hurdle. Because the things in these scriptures were written for our learning in the I.S.U.P.K. under commanding General YAHANNA. All right? Give me the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 9, Babakosha. Because these are the things as commanding General YAHANNA always bring out. The things that the I.S.U.P.K. that we speak. It's not popular. You understand? Nobody here wants to hear it. You know what I mean? But when you see this empire falling apart, you know, you have to feel good. Because now it leaves our people with limited choices. It every day getting narrower and narrower. To be able to see, it only have one place of refuge. So the most I go put in this place where you realize is either you love the world, and we say we love Babylon, or you realize now, I to serve the Most High. Everybody getting a chance. Because you will get tighter and tighter by the day and by the minute. The coronavirus drop now, but it has more to come. You understand? Because the oppressor is not going to stop oppressing the so-called black man. The so-called white man have been fighting with the so-called black man since in the womb. And he's not going to stop. And he's not going to show us any mercy because of his nature, the way that he was designed. You understand? As scripture say, all houses are vessels of honor and dishonor. So the so-called white man is going to come against the so-called black man day and night. And we must understand that our mercy is of the Most High power. Our mercy is from the Lord. He is our strength and our refuge. So we must submit ourselves to understand, hey, we must come back to the laws, commandments, and statutes. Let me start to keep it Passover. You understand what I'm saying? And we feast on unleavened bread. Stop eat pork, crab, lobster, and shrimp. Then we start to understand that baptism is talking about the words that the priests and the prophets speak, that we yield our spirit to. That is what we must understand. So-called black man. Not depending in water. Depend people in water and change nothing. You understand? God drown the whole world as a matter of fact. And the whole place still wicked. You want to depend on a bathtub and feel like some go change? Nah. The scriptures tell you by the washing of the water, the word. When a young man, when a father could say to his son, you understand? A man aligned with a man is an abomination. You understand? That is how you can change your son. You give him the knowledge of the Lord. You understand? When a man could say to his son and make him understand that your job is to lead your wife, protect your wife. You understand? Guide she. You understand what I'm saying? Raise up other brothers and sisters to walk upright, according to the documents and the history of the forefathers. This is what we must understand, so-called black man. Give me the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 9, Baba Kasha.
The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 9.
Right.
Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of God?
Right, read that again.
Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of God?
Right, so the scripture is saying it clear. The righteous is not going to inherit the kingdom of God. And this, when we read scriptures like this so-called black man, You ain't supposed to feel no kind of way. You supposed to thank the Most High. Where the Most High making it understand plain cut and dry. The unrighteous is not going to inherit the kingdom. So now you realize, hey, I have a manual. It have priests and prophets that is going to give me the things that is required to make me a righteous man that I can inherit this kingdom. That are scriptures for you to follow. That is scriptures for you to yield yourself. You understand? To understand, hey, this Bible is a black man book. This kingdom that the Most High Power is talking about, I could make this kingdom. He set things in here for me and not for the heathen. They don't need saving. And this is the biggest problem of the so-called black man, native Indian man, and Hispanic man, by the way. For you to come to that place to realize, nah, boy, I need somebody to save me. Once you can't come to that place, well, you're in real problems. You understand? Because a lot of us need saving, but we can't come to the spirit to acknowledge now. The white man, the East Indian, the Chinese, them can't save me. Them don't give a damn about me. You understand what I'm saying? And if you feel the height, what about the people? People in the ghetto. You understand? And see if them need saving. See if you don't want them to really understand, you don't have a compassion in you for them to understand, hey, here what happened. We could come out of this. You understand what I'm saying? We could gird up your loins. We could be taught. We could be led. You understand? There are shepherds to lead the so-called black man, native Indian man, and Hispanic man out of the ghetto, out of the slums, out from calling the police in the community to kill we more. We calling them for help and they come in and kill we. All that could stop. We could start to have our own communities, we own businesses, and start to establish a certain level of power. We could get drug dealers out of the community. You understand? We could get gangbanging out of the streets. Watch how much events the I.S.U.P.K will be keeping, cookout, Passovers, and so forth. You ain't hear nobody getting killed in no high holiday. You understand? A brother murder, because everything on point. We could get any black community where we could keep what is the party and nobody in there. You understand what I'm saying? Because we govern ourselves in a certain way. Right? We have rules and laws for everybody to follow. You understand? No man is trying to go after next man wife and no dance. It's a million single woman out here. You understand what I'm showing you? So a boy understand how to walk in an upright way. A man understand here, he could have more than one wife, but not next man wife. You get 10 wife. It's a real single man. Get your number. You understand what I'm saying? Don't be covetous. You have a way to walk in the black community that can make you shine, as scripture say. And the heathen going to say, yes, surely, this is a wise and a understanding people. This is what the so-called black man, native Indian man, Hispanic man must put the spirit to want to come to that place. That place of freedom. You understand what I'm saying? Right, read on.
Be not deceived, neither fornicators.
Right, don't be deceived, so-called black man. We can walk around with the spirit of the oppressor, the spirit of your Christian leaders, the spirit of Eastern we. You understand? And what?
Be not deceived, neither fornicators, nor idolaters,
right?
Nor adulterers,
right? So this long list are idolaters, right? People celebrating Easter and Christmas and so forth, or what?
Or no adulterers,
no adulterers,
nor effeminate.
Looking for an next man wife when they have a million, as we say, look, a million woman out there. Yes, you still trying to crouch a woman at Salakia window for somebody wife. And woman out there looking to get a man, to get a husband. You understand? Or read on the next one.
No effeminate.
No what? Effeminate. You understand? You walking wrong. You understand? Walking with a woman's spirit. Woman looking for you to gird up your loins to protect them. You trying to play woman. Read on.
No abusers of themselves.
No abusers of themselves. Read on.
With mankind.
With mankind. Man with man. These things is not for the so-called black man. Pity you in our so-called black man that men teach you and train you to put off that spirit. And you in a community that these things not existing in, and you can watch now and see the heathen falling apart. Because them had a man with man and all the bacchanal going on, and the Most High separate you, as he say, as a holy people. Now you can be that difference. Everybody always looking down on the so-called black man, native Indian man, and Hispanic man. But you is the only race of people, so-called black man, that could stand out. Because you know why? You have rules. Where the rules for the East Indian, for man not to sleep with man? Which part in the Bhagavad Gita is? Where the rules to govern the Islam? Where the rules? Where the rules? For man not to sleep with man, wife, and not to eat pork and crab, lobster, and shrimp. Where the rules? You understand? Where the rules for the Egyptologists? You understand? That full of homosexuality all along in the back of Africa. Eating man, eating human, sleeping with man. Where the rules? We, blacks, native Indians, and Hispanics is the only people that have the capacity to really shine on the earth. You understand? As holy people, as different people, as separate people on the earth. And we must be able to identify that so-called black man and take whole light. The same way Jacob wrestled an angel in a dream. You understand? Till he get name change, you had a wrestle so-called black man, native Indian man, and Hispanic man, and the woman also. You understand? To be able to hold on to that righteousness, that you now will be in a position, right, to position yourself as part of the righteous, to be part of the I.S.U.P.K under commanding General Yahanna. People that walking, talking, acting, and doing everything different. You understand? Everything does say the Lord. Understanding that these things that set his boundaries to protect us. You understand? From everything that is going to try to come against the so-called black man. Right? Read on.
Verse 10. No thieves.
No what?
No thieves.
No thieves. So he didn't love to put the so-called black man in a position where you have to, you're back against the wall then. You understand what I'm saying? You have to thief. You understand what I'm saying? You have to go and rob another brother and distress him. You understand what I'm busting your house, murder him in the process. You understand what I'm showing you? When the Most High could show you a greater wisdom to come into our body. You understand? We are brotherhood and sisterhood. Where they go check for you. Which every move that you make is going to be moves that is going to build, you understand, your nation. So you're going to make the right moves. You ain't going to make no rash moves. All right, read on.
No covetous.
No the covetous. You understand? You know how to satisfy with the things that was given to you. In every arena. In every arena. You can satisfy with what was given to you. Because you were the ruling nation. You were the rulers. You understand? As they say, you were the winning team. You were the Israelites. You were the I.S.U.P.K under commanding General Yahanna. So now you can be contented. You understand what I'm saying? Because they're positioned right. You position yourself in a way where you can get the tools, you understand, to do that which is pleasing in the sight of the Most High power. You understand? So you ain't worried and you ain't afraid. You learn patience and discipline. Right? You learn the fear of the Most High power. Right? Read on.
No drunkards.
No what?
Drunkards.
No drunkards. They understand balance, so-called black man, native Indian man, and Hispanic man. Just as the generals are bringing out. All up in the Passover. You hear about like no drunk and talking madman thing. You understand? Because you learn balance. You learn that there are things that are lawful. You understand what I'm saying? Right? But you know how to balance yourself. You know what is expedient. Where else are you going to learn that? In church or in the library? We're going to learn that in some African religion. You understand? Read on.
No revilers.
No what?
Revilers.
Right? Or revelers. I believe it revelers is the word. I'm not too sure. Is revelers? Revilers?
R-E-V-I-L-E.
All right, look up the meaning in the meantime, the Babakasha. Right? When I pull it up, you can continue reading on, or you can read on in the meantime.
No extortioners.
Right? No extortioners. Read on.
No shall inherit the kingdom of the Most High.
Right. So all this list of people, you understand? And when you say list of people, that is spirit what the white man put on. Everything you list here, this is what the white man all about. You understand what I'm saying? Pillaging, raping, stealing, thief the native Indian lands. You understand? Kidnap the blacks. You understand? From who run from Jerusalem into West Africa. You understand? Murderers. The list goes on. We still running about looking for you, the devil busy. You understand what I'm showing you and not understanding? Just look. The scriptures tell you, look. Nature going to tell you. The trees go tell you. Watch history. Who is the one pillaging, raping, and destroying the so-called blacks, Native Indians, and Hispanics? The so-called white man. When people hear that, they draw back. Yeah, that is who he is. As scripture say, the devil the Bible speaks of. You understand what I'm saying? You'll find that in the book of Isaiah chapter 14. Okay, let's jump down all to verse 12. He want to exalt himself as God. You understand? He want to govern. He don't want rules. He want to set the rules on the earth. He want to run and bomb up Osama bin Laden, but nobody can come and bomb him up. You understand? He want to run down in India in 1971, cause a big conflict between Pakistan and India. You understand? And fly across in Vietnam and drop bombs at will. And people understand how that went down. They wasn't coming and dropping bombs. You understand? In Vietnam, and people fighting off the jets. Them had total rain. You understand what I'm saying? And drop bombs on them at will. No mercy. And nobody is able to bring judgment on America. You understand? Until the priests and the prophets, you understand, the nation of Israel gathered themselves together and serve the Most High, then our King Yahawashi is going to bring judgment and destruction on America. Right? So, go ahead. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Let's see. Read the definition from Bible.
To subject to verbal abuse, to use abusive language.
Right, that is all again.
Yeah.
That's the only definition.
And then it have
Really? Yeah. All right, I'll go into it next time. Yeah. Right? Right, Tawara. Yeah. Right, that was all in the script there, right? Right, so the so-called black man, Native Indian man, and Hispanic man must understand that we have a way that we ought to live, a way that we ought to walk. You understand? And we ain't talking about no Christianity. We're talking about as righteous men, black men and women, Hispanic men and women, Native Indian men and women. We have a way that we could walk and rule this planet. And it's as simple as that. Changing the way we do things. Right? And we'll be able to rule again. Right? So with that, just give me back Zephaniah chapter 2 and verse 1 again, Baba Kushan. Let me wrap up. Right? Tonight is Commanding General Yahanna's Black Watch. You're tuned in for that class. And the so-called black man must understand that Easter is not a part of our custom. Right? The Passover, right, is a holiday for the so-called black man, Native Indian man, and the Hispanic man. Right? Just give us Zephaniah chapter 2 and verse 1, Baba Kushan.
The book of Zephaniah chapter 2 and verse 1.
Right? And be wrapping up the class with the script here. Read on.
Gather yourselves together.
Gather yourself together, so-called black man, Native Indian man, and Hispanic man. Tune into the I.S.U.P.K. under Commanding General Yahanna, wherever city or state you're in. You understand? Tune into the classes, subscribe. Right? If they start to learn this knowledge, share it. You understand what I'm saying? People might not like it. You understand what I'm showing you? But let that word of the Lord go forth and gather the saints of the Most High power. Right? The saints are the Israelites, the real Jews, blacks, Native Indians, and Hispanics. Read on.
Yea, gather together, all nation not desired.
Right? Because the Most High commands the nation that is not desired. Nobody here tell you that, here guess that. We know that nation is the Israelites, the real Jews. The blacks, Native Indians, and Hispanics were having in slums, they have in the ghettos, they have in cages, they have in where call these places the Native Indians in the reservations. There where we are. The nation that is not desired. They have us in the corners, in hell, suffering. Right? Read on.
Before the decree bring forth.
Right? Before the decree breaks forth. Right? Before World War III. So-called black man, Native Indian man, and Hispanic man understand what is taking place. No, we're in the last days. There's a lot of prophecies in the scriptures talk about that. A lot of us say that with the mouth, but we have to make our adjustments at the same time. Right? And with that, I pass the class over to Priest and Officer Michael. All right, we got to reach out, right? I think we are enough time. Come on.
This is the I.S.U.P.K. security announcements. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. After 6 months, if your brother or your sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to the brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After the 6-month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithe, which is the commandment. You can find this in Numbers chapter 18 and verse 21 and Malachi chapter 3 verses 8 to 10. Means tenth in the Hebrew and is pronounced ma'asra. 10% of any increase the Lord gives you, you give to the treasury department or teacher. Preach one. Free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like to give. Upcoming holy convocation. Right? The upcoming holy convocation is the feast of Passover. Right?
Son Christ.
Which is the 14th day of the first month. Which is Saturday, April 24th. In the year 2021, you can find this in Exodus chapter 12, verses 1 to 51, Leviticus chapter 23, verses 4 to 5, 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verses 7 to 8, and 2 Chronicles chapter 30 and verse 17. Remind Archeum and Aquatium to check on social media, such as ISUPK.com, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and so on for I.S.U.P.K events and materials. If your brother wants to be a trooper in the school, then he's to start wearing all black, which includes black boots, like shirt, like headbands or scarf. And with that, we say, I imagine. We're going to begin with the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemaya, Kwadat, Haya, Shamka, Yahweh, Malabaka, Taba'a, Ratazaka, Haya, I.S.U.P.K, Barataza, Kawa, Haya, Bashemaya, the Thunder Lakam, Kal, Yawak, Wasalakno, Kawatno, Kasalakno, Kawatno, Wala'a, Tabayanawa, Wansayawan, Abba, Kawashaino, Mayan, Right, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Waha'ala, Wataparak, Iwalamium, Aman.
What we said in the English was, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. In earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day. Our daily bread. And forgive us. Our debts. As we forgive our debtors. And lead us not. Into temptation. But deliver us. From evil. Thine is the kingdom. And the power. And the glory. Forever. So be it. We're going to say the hakak, or the power in the Hebrew. Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Babakashah, the Thunder Nawa, Hakak, the Rapah, Kalmakal, Wakal Malawo, Hakak, Lata, Atamazarium, Hakak, La Hakwea, Hamatayam, Hakak, Irakawa, Atamayala, Lagarashan, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, to Wara Aman. In the English, Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai, please give us the power. The power to heal. All manner of sickness. And all manner of disease. The power to cleanse the leper. The power to raise the dead. The power against unclean spirits. Cast them out. In the name of Yahushai. Thank you. So be it. We're going to say the blessings in the Hebrew. Rakata Yahweh, Wa Yahushai, Wa Makala, Wa Alahayo, Matazabia, Alawap Yahanna, Ha Alawapia, Ha Sarania, Ha Kwatazaya Nyam, Ha Kayal Yam, Wa Akwatio, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, to Wala Aman. In the English, blessed be Yahweh, and Yahushai, and Michael, and the angel, commanding General Yahanna, generals, captain, officers, troopers, and the sisters, Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai. Thank you. So be it. These are the I.S.U.P.K curses. Blessed are you, Yahweh. King of heaven and earth. And all things living. Yahweh. In the name of Yahushai. Listen to us now. Right now.
now.
Send evils and curses.
Send evils and curses.
And punishment and destruction.
And punishment and destruction.
To the heathen.
To the heathen.
That speak against us.
Speak against us.
Thy prophet.
Thy prophet.
The teacher.
The teacher.
The princes.
The prince.
The priest.
The priest.
The
Israelite brothers.
And the school.
And the school.
Send evils and curses.
Send evils and curses.
And punishment and destruction.
And punishment and destruction.
To the heathen.
To the heathen.
And shake loose.
And shake loose.
The treasure.
The treasure.
Of the rich of Israel.
Of the rich of Israel.
That refuse to give to the school.
Refuse to give to the school.
Force their riches.
Force their riches.
Enter into thy sanctuary.
Enter into thy sanctuary.
Send evils and curses.
Send evils and curses.
And punishment and destruction.
And punishment and destruction.
To the Edomites.
To the Edomites.
And the nation.
And the nation.
And their drug dealers.
And their drug dealers.
The court system.
Court system.
The prison system.
Prison system.
Planned Parenthood.
Planned Parenthood.
All the governments of our enemies.
All the governments of our enemies.
Amalek synagogues and armies.
Amalek synagogues and
The
armies.
Roman Catholic Church.
Roman Catholic Church.
The Pope.
The Pope.
Islam.
Christianity.
Egyptology. Militia. Ku Klux Klan. Aryan Nation.
Aryan Nation.
Skinheads. Posikomotazi. Gay movement.
Gay movement.
Lesbian movement.
Spies.
Workers of witchcraft.
Workers of witchcraft.
NASA space program.
NASA space program. Army.
Navy.
Air Force. Marine.
Wall Street. Open up the
internet.
And the airways.
And the airways.
The cable access channel.
Cable access channel.
And the radio channel.
And the radio channel.
Convict the spirit.
Of
any of thy people.
That
seek to stop us. As we bring and bring swift destruction. To all the heathen. That stand in the way. Or try to stop us. From broadcasting your words. Throughout the planet Earth. Let loose all the plagues. Cause them to go to and fro. To the earth. And consume them. Let the plague. Shake the house of the thief. And the murderer. Let Yahushua. Michael. And Gabriel. Come down with the flying saucers. And punish all the heathen. That come up against us. As we speak thy word. Cause it to be known by all. It is the angel. That has done it. Cause it to be spread. To the media. To the whole world. Cause them to shake at thy coming. In the name of Yahushua. Thank you always. So be it. We're going to say the blessed Israel in the Hebrew. Yahweh. Hashem. Yahushai. Barak Nanawa. Shala. Wahabayat. Sefaria. Barak. Rapah. Magan. Commanding General Yahanna. All the generals. All the captains. All the officers. All the students. All the troopers. All the sisters. Shamka. Kaya. Yapa. Para. Commanding General Yahanna. General. Captains. Officers. Troopers. Sisters. Children. Students. All those fighting to come to the truth. John family. Alexis family. Philip family. The Koto family. Hashem. Yahushai. So what Aman. What we said in the English was, Lord, in the name of Yahushua, bless us, and Israel, and the school, bless, heal, shield, protect our loved one, in the name of Yahushua. Thank you. So be it. So, men of Israel, let's give the teacher a one courtesy salute. Imagine Shabbat. Imagine Barak. Yahweh Hashem Yahushai B'Katah. Yadamata. Sir. Men of Israel, let's give the sisters online a one courtesy salute. Imagine Shabbat. Imagine Barak. Yahweh Shemal Atan B'Hashem Yahushai. Yadamata. That's dismissed.